Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We'd like to talk to you today about the Highway 5 improvements project regarding our noise analysis. This is for the town hall scheduled for February 26, 2025. I'm Bob Moyer. I'm the assistant project manager for this project. Many of you I'm sure I've seen in the past, but hopefully it's nice to see you all again for this recording. So today's presentation, we're going to have a few town hall objectives. We're going to inform you on the process. We're going to provide traffic noise analysis requirements and process that Carver County and MnDOT follow under state and federal regulations. We're going to update you on the results of that analysis. We'd like to share the results from the Highway 5's detailed study for noise. We'd like to discuss and offer opportunity for conversation between community and the project team about the results. And on the slide, you'll see a clip of the current configuration of Highway 5 right about in the middle of the roadway. On this slide, you'll see a map of the project area. We go from 80th Street in Victoria, about halfway through the city of Victoria, all the way to Chanhassen at Century Boulevard along Highway 5. The project also includes Highway 13, that's Rolling Acres Road from Interlochen to 5, and Bavaria Road from 82nd Street to 5. Along 41, you'll see we extend to Tanaduna on the north side of Highway 5 and Water Tower Place on the south side of Highway 5. We also include a section of trail, the regional trail, from approximately Rolling Acres Road coming right into Victoria. Next, I'll introduce Kent Arnholtz from Kaskaskia Engineering Group. He will talk about process and results. How are the locations of noise walls determined for a project?
Thanks, Bob. As Bob said, my name is Ken Arnholtz. I am a principal with Kaskaskia Engineering Group, and our firm is a part of the Highway 5 design team. And our role is specifically to complete the noise study for this project. I will be reviewing the process that we embarked on to analyze the noise impacts to the surrounding properties resulting from the improvements on Highway 5 and to determine the location of noise wall along the length of the project. Minnesota DOT has established the requirements and standards for studying the noise impacts along a highway or street project. These requirements and standards were developed in consultation with both the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency and the Federal Highway Administration, and the current policy was approved for use back in 2017. These requirements define the criteria used by design teams to analyze and evaluate and test for the feasibility and reasonableness of constructing a noise wall along a highway project. All MnDOT projects and county or city-led federal aid projects are required to prepare a traffic noise study. The document shown here provides design teams with a measurable and objective process for determining whether a noise wall meets the public need, thus ensuring effective use of federal and state highway funds. Okay, this is the same project area map that Bob showed earlier. For the purposes of our noise work, the study boundaries are 500 feet on either side of the highway and crossroads. Research has shown that while traffic noise can be heard over 500 feet away from highways, noise walls have little to no effect at reducing the traffic noise at that distance. The first step in the traffic noise study process is to identify all existing noise-sensitive receptors within the boundaries along the highway, and to take field noise measurements to determine the level of existing noise near a sample of these receptors. In addition, the field team also counts the traffic, including differentiating between cars and trucks, to assist in validating the computer models with the existing noise readings. For the Highway 5 project, the noise meters were set up at 14 locations along Highway 5 and the intersecting roads at an average of 200 feet from the edge of the road, with the range being between 120 and 230 feet. The measurements were taken for a 15-minute interval at each location back in late 2023. So what are noise-sensitive receptors? I mentioned those on the previous slide, but they are the locations where noise can be heard, and it may impact people living or working in those locations. Examples of common receptors are homes, schools, churches, businesses, parks, and other areas where people gather. The project team identifies all the noise sensitive receptors within the noise study boundaries that were shown on the previous map, and those are input into the traffic noise modeling software. Noise models are developed for existing conditions, for future no build or do nothing conditions, and for future conditions with the Highway 5 improvements in place. It is from these model runs that we determine which receptors are impacted by noise so that we can evaluate the effectiveness of building a wall to reduce the noise. This slide shows a diagram of how a noise wall reduces noise for adjacent properties. Everyone should be aware, though, that noise walls do not eliminate all traffic noise. For a noise wall to effectively reduce noise, it must be tall enough to block the line of sight to the road. A noise wall is most effective at reducing traffic noise for receptors that are closest to the wall, while receptors farther from the wall experience less reduction in noise. MnDOT restricts the maximum height of all noise walls to 20 feet. How do we determine the location of noise walls? After we've modeled the traffic noise and identified the impacted receptors, we use the table shown on this slide and the criteria that is displayed within this table to analyze and evaluate construction of noise walls along the project. The first criteria: is there enough impact from highway noise to consider a wall? There's a table within MnDOT's noise requirements document that I showed earlier that establishes the threshold for noise and or an increase in noise by different categories of noise sensitive receptors. Each receptor is evaluated using this table to make this determination. Can a wall be safely built at this location and effectively block noise? The design team reviews the placement of a noise wall with regard to other elements of the design. For example, where a driveway is being built to access a property for which a noise wall is being considered, the noise wall could possibly block the line of sight of a driver attempting to back out of that driveway and creates an unsafe condition. Third, will the wall provide a noticeable reduction in noise levels? Computer models are developed and run for each proposed noise wall, and the results evaluated to determine if a noticeable reduction is achieved at each receptor. The threshold for achieving this reduction is a 7 decibel decrease for one receptor behind a wall and 5 decibels for all of the other receptors. Fourth, does the wall provide noticeable levels of noise reduction for enough people to justify the cost of building the wall? A preliminary opinion of probable costs are determined for each wall in order to evaluate whether the overall cost is less than $78,500 per each benefited receptor. If it is not, then the wall is considered not to be cost effective. If the answer is yes to all 4 questions, then the noise wall voting process is initiated, and a representative for each benefited receptor is contacted to determine whether they would like to have the noise wall constructed adjacent to their property or not. The results of this balloting process are tabulated to determine if a noise wall moves forward to construction. All of the 5 questions must be answered yes in order to advance construction of a noise wall. As a review, all 5 questions: is there enough impact from highway noise to consider a wall? Is constructing a wall at this location feasible, and will it effectively block noise? Will the wall provide a noticeable reduction in noise levels? And does the wall provide noticeable levels of noise reduction for enough people to justify the cost? And lastly, if all 4 of those previous ones are yes, do people want a noise wall? Based on the Highway 5 design team's work utilizing FHWA's traffic noise modeling software and analysis and evaluation of the various noise wall, only one location met all of the criteria to justify a noise wall. This is the wall along the south side of Highway 5, just east of its intersection with Cochilla Lane. Other locations were analyzed and evaluated, but they were eliminated for the following reasons. They were either not cost effective, or they created unsafe driving conditions, or was not feasible to build, or they did not meet minimal noise reduction of 7 decibels for one receptor and 5 decibels for the remainder to be considered benefited. So this project area map shows the locations of 14 different noise walls that the team analyzed and evaluated. These walls did not meet the criteria for advancing construction of a noise wall. The color of each wall is shown based on the reason or reasons that it was eliminated. Light blue for those that do not meet a minimal noise reduction of at least 5 decibels. Dark blue for walls that were not safe or feasible to build. And red for walls that are not cost effective. Okay, this project area map shows the one and only location where a noise wall meets all 4 of the criteria that were identified earlier for moving forward to the noise wall voting process. This wall is located on the south side of Highway 5, just east of Cochilla Lane. This is a zoomed in view of that same project area map for the proposed wall, along with a photo rendering that shows a before depiction where you see the townhomes, and an after view of the proposed noise wall that shows how it shields the townhomes. The next step in the process will be to proceed through the noise wall voting process. Representatives of all of the benefited receptors for this wall will be mailed a ballot to vote on whether they want to have a noise wall or not. Based on the results of the voting, the wall will either be advanced to the design of the noise wall, or it will also be eliminated along with the other 14 walls.
Thank you for joining us on this noise process overview for the Highway 5 Improvement Project. You can find a frequently asked questions list on our website and subscribe for email updates.